I am Sandy Spady, your host with the Power Up Talk Show. It is a talk show where we bring together community leaders and inspirational people that are making a difference in the world. Before I introduce my amazing, beautiful guests, we have to start it off with a cocktail from Dion Bass, Somber Cocktails.
Hi, Sandy. How's it going?
Dion.
So today I wanted to do something light, refreshing, and easy to drink for anyone in any situation. And so I decided to do a vodka Collins. But instead of doing a regular vodka Collins, I have to add my twist. So first we're going to start out with a little yuzu liqueur. This is a Japanese citrus that tends to go really well in American-made cocktails. Our next ingredient is going to be one of my favorite vodkas to use in pretty much anything in the summer. It is going to be the Grey Goose essence, and this is going to be the strawberry and lemongrass. I like this for very many reasons. One being that it is a very clean spirit. You can tell when you drink it that it was made with love, and it's just, I love Grey Goose. What can I say? My next ingredient is going to be finest called simple syrup. We're only going to use a little bit. We don't necessarily like to have sugars, but sometimes they just fit the occasion. And last but not least, we're going to squeeze a little lemon. Sorry, lime. So once we squeeze our lemon and our lime in our glass, lime in the glass, we're going to give her a little shake.
Favorite part,
I like
shake
to think
it
about
up.
things when I shake cocktails, like how much my mortgage is going to be next month. Then we're going to give her a little pour. And lastly, we are going to top it with a little Topo Chico mineral water. This is going to give it its effervescence, and it's actually going to make all of those flavors play extremely well together. Delish. Enjoy.
Thank you, Dion.
Till next time, everyone.
All right, let's have cheers, my lovely lady, and give it a shot.
Oh, that's so refreshing.
That is so great. Audience, we have a great, beautiful soul here. She has done multiple different things, but her official is she's a knowledge navigator. So unique. Creative media designer, journalism, media designer to yoga instructor. Welcome, Jaimie Schmitz.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yay. Knowledge navigator. Share with the audience, what is that? Who is Jaimie?
Well, normally I say that I'm an instructional designer, but nobody knows what that means. So that's why I switched to knowledge navigator, because it's so much more of just, I get content, I get this knowledge, and then I put it in a form that people can actually absorb and want to learn from. Half the time, the information that we get is just so much as professionals. It's just Word documents upon Word documents, and I like to make it fun.
And that's why you're my guest, because I like fun people. All right, what do you do? Tell us I'm your new client. I'm sitting down. I need help. I'm an entrepreneur. Where do I start?
Well, first question is, who is your audience? Who's your learner? Whether it's your clients that you are focusing most of your business on, or it's some customers. It just depends on the learner. And then from there, I can onboard some employees for you or some clients, or I can just make some infographics that get your point across. So maybe you have a little bit more of a complex business that you have to focus on, and I can explain those concepts a lot easier than maybe just a graphic designer, because research shows that we literally have 7 seconds to get somebody's attention and then they're on to the next, and there's a lot of psychology behind learning, and I like to use that so that people can actually take that information and run with it, because knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power. And even 20 years ago when I sold TV advertising for cable TV, 7 seconds. You have 7 seconds to win them over, even when you introduce yourself. 7 seconds.
Exactly. And in this busy, busy world, we like to make sure that things, even if we don't have 15 seconds to do something, that 15 seconds, we like to fill it in. We like to pack as much as we can in throughout the day. And I see the benefit of that, but also learning should be fun. And I like to work with people who are passionate about what they get to do. So whether it's a product that they're excited about to get out there and they just need a little bit more of instructions to go with it so that people understand how to use it, or it's a service that they're offering, just being able to put it in words that people can understand it and then utilize it.
So you create it, you come up with the content. How about scheduling?
Scheduling, absolutely. So I started my career in TV and video, and that's where my heart kind of stays. So I like to make sure that if there's video content that needs to be done, I'll schedule that, and then I do the editing. I do all of the post-production, which has a tendency to be pretty expensive. And so I like to offer my clients that so that everything is in-house. I will outsource whatever talent you need, or if there's some graphic work that I can't do, I will outsource everything. But otherwise, I like to be your main point of contact for everything.
What's your ideal customer?
My ideal customer is definitely a small business owner that has a lot of passion in either their product or in what they do, their service. I have a tendency to let my passion overflow, and that's why I like to work with people who are passionate about what they do. Also, I'm a big believer in knowledge is power, and gatekeeping some knowledge and training isn't the way that we move forward as a community. And as a small business owner myself, that's what this is ultimately about, is community. Everybody that I work with is a client, but they're also my community.
Absolutely. Women with Voices. I started a community.
Exactly.
We can't do it alone. As far as your ideal customer, what is the tool? Do you have a package that you can do monthly, or do you just set up and you meet with them individual and you come up with a custom package? Like, how do you come up with helping them? Do you have different levels that for starter? Some people start out with nothing. Some people have, a business plan. Explain that.
Well, first sit down and have a conversation about what people want, because half the time there's people just say that they want a PowerPoint when what they actually want is an onboarding experience for their client instead of just a PowerPoint. And so I like to sit down with the client and really figure out where my talents are best utilized for them, and focus on the learning objectives and getting the client what they need, whether they have a client or a customer or anything like that.
As far as your ideal customer and you have them, they're starting to work with you, how is it that you can navigate and find those different partnerships that you don't have, that you can, what did you call it? You called it outsource. What are some examples that you've came across that your client needed to outsource something? You must have your little team, your go-to, I have a feeling, right?
I do have my little go-to team. I'm also building, because I am a new business owner. While I've had my LLC for over a year now, I'm still new to this. So I'm constantly trying to build my circle of trusted professionals that I can outsource and bring people onto my team. I've worked with some HR people. I have an HR team, I guess you would say, PR and things like that, just to really build my skill set out as well. Because as business owners, we wear many hats,
yes.
all of the hats,
yes.
But I also make sure that I know, and that my clients know, whoever I'm working with, that if I don't know how to do something, I'll find somebody who does. And I have no problem stepping back and saying, this isn't where my best work lays, but I'll make sure that it gets done correctly as far as I know. So.
You said you're a new entrepreneur, a little over a year, right? Or under a year. What made you finally go out and step into that position, that CEO position? What made you do it? Jump the cliff.
It's funny, I was sort of shoved off the cliff, I would say, but I learned to fly. This past year, I was laid off, but before that, I had everything set up. was picking up work that I needed to keep track of it. And then it's just funny how the universe works. I got laid off, as a lot of people in the tech world did, and I had everything lined up. because I knew that something was going to happen. I just had a feeling. And I have some amazing mentors in the Omaha community that also have helped me throughout that journey. And it's not over. I'm definitely not over the journey. I'm still working through learning a lot of things. But it was that first sort of push off the cliff that I needed to be able to fly and to trust myself to fly too. I think that's one of the biggest things as a business owner is in an entrepreneur is just trusting in your own skill set that you can do things. And after getting laid off, it plays with your identity a little bit, but I knew I was a creative. I came out of that still feeling like I was a creative and I have a lot of talent to give. And so I knew exactly what I had to do from that moment on. And I'm really, really thankful that I have the community and that I have been able to build it and continue to build.
I always like to ask my guest, what is a nonprofit or something that's you're passionate about? Or I could ask you about the Outspoken Advocate, mental health, chronic pain groups. There's a purpose and a passion behind that. Tell us about that.
Yes. One of my favorite nonprofits, it's the U.S. Pain Foundation. It's a national organization. They have advocacy workshops. They also do a lot of lobbying for some really important legislature and some schooling. Actually, they got some legislature so that doctors have to learn about chronic pain management. I'm somebody who my whole entire life I've suffered with chronic pain. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a connective tissue thing. My body doesn't stay where it needs to be, so I dislocate things, I hyperextend things. It can also have a lot of GI issues, migraines, things like that. And almost anybody who's had any sort of chronic pain, whether it's like a back surgery or a hip surgery or even just a twisted ankle, we can all relate to that. We've all felt chronic pain in some capacity, but yet it's so stigmatized, and that's something that I'm really, really passionate about. I'm passionate about learning, but then I'm also really passionate about being outspoken so that people know that they're not alone in it. And half the time, I just need to say that I'm in pain right now, and then I'm good. I can move on. And my therapist actually calls it a pain exorcism. And there's the science behind it where getting the words out there actually releases the endorphins and it builds positive neural pathways in your brain so that you can handle these things. And that's what I want to help with. I want to be outspoken about this. And then also with my yoga, I love to, whenever I am teaching yoga, I make it very, very frank. And that, you know what, if you're not feeling it today, thanks for showing up. Yeah. And just being okay with that.
That is beautiful. I always think there's a passion behind what you believe in. And obviously, I've never heard of that disease. It's an autoimmune disease, I'm guessing.
Yes.
I mean, my daughter has type 1 diabetes. I have Sjogren's. There's so many out there.
There's so much out
but
there.
I love that you're going to bring awareness to it because that's how it begins, right? And so many times I bet you might have felt before you even were diagnosed that it's in your head. Did you hear that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I also felt as a professional that if I couldn't perform 100% all the time, then I'm not a good professional. And the reality of my life and my diagnoses and my disability is that there's some days where I do everything at home. And I'm really, really blessed and lucky that I have a job and a career that supports that. And I'm thankful that I have the talents and the skills also to be able to do that, just to be able to take a day because I have a migraine and also not feel like I have to perform because that's what professionals do, because that's what entrepreneurs do. There's some days where I just can't, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I know when I worked in the corporate industry and if my daughter was sick, I was scared to death to tell my district manager or my manager that my daughter's sick and I have to stay home. But I would be terrified. I would almost get sick because she wasn't very nice. She was a little toughie. And to think now in entrepreneurship, and I think the time has changed, right? That's old school advertising when I did it, that you can be open, be honest, and share, what's going on. And people want to hear that now. That's, I think, the shift in how the people look at illness, taking care of, children, sick children, and pregnancy and all that. That is a shift, that we're all human. right?
Exactly.
And we're going to have bad days. And if you have a chronic illness on top of that, you just have to go with it and be understandable. So I'm glad that you're able to work from home when you have a chance to. As far as inspirations, right? I love that women inspire other women, and you yourself, I'm sure you said you had mentors. Who are some of the mentors or people that have inspired you, that helped you, that you could share with the audience?
Personally, my family, my mom was a business owner. She was a massage therapist and ran her own business for 30 plus years. And her mother started the massage therapy business. And that was 50 some years ago. And she's 90 now, and she's still practicing and still doing things. And so I like to think that hard work, the entrepreneur sort of spirit has always been in me. And so they definitely like keep me going with my creativity. And then my grandma always says that we need to keep learning. We always need to keep learning. And she's always pushed me and all of my cousins and my family to make sure that we expand our brains and our minds, and we're meeting new people and not staying stagnant in what we're doing, and making sure that we take that passion and we run with it. And I'm really, really thankful for that. But they are my passion for things. But I have some amazing mentors here in Omaha and in the surrounding areas that really help me, that give me the confidence, I guess, because half the time I just need to know that there's somebody else out there that struggles with it. It can be, owning your own business can be lonely. I went from having coworkers for the last decade and a half of my career, and now it's just me. And so having somebody that shares that loneliness is really wonderful to have, or just to brainstorm with. I'm somebody who's like a big collaborator. I love to talk about things out loud. I love to draw it out. And half the time, again, I just need somebody to hear it. I just need to say it out loud. And my mentors have been phenomenal with that. And also giving me their business advice that they wish that they would have had. They're opening the door for me so that I don't have to continually be knocking at it or not being able to find the door. They're leading me straight to it, and they're giving me the resources and the confidence that I need, that I didn't know I need.
Yes, that's what I love about, I'm the founder of Women with Voices. 3 years ago, I just saw a loneliness for women in a community, and so many of them are entrepreneurs or executives, but you need that community. And that's kind of what made me, want to do I'm kicking off a masterminds course called Powerhouse. And I'm bringing like legend people in, because when you share, right, you share your talents and your experiences, and you're at the table.
Yep.
Right? You're at the table and you get to talk about it. I know when I did TV advertising, we'd have our production team, our script team, and I said the magic began when you brought people together. And in being in journalism, right,
Yep.
and media, you see that too. It's like coming to the table together to be creative.
Mm-hmm. And you just need to give somebody permission just to show up, and that gives other people permission to show up and be themselves too. So just by showing up at the table and saying, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm here to learn, that's the hardest part most of the time.
I love that.
Absolutely.
All right. If we had a hot take, right? That's kind of fun. I like it. A hot take in your industry. What's the hot take right now happening?
One of my biggest mottos for my business is there are no dumb questions, which I've had some very interesting arguments against, but there are no dumb questions. If you come to a learning environment and are authentic, there's no dumb questions. And I think by putting the idea of embarrassment around questions, that's again limiting the knowledge, and knowledge is power. So one of my biggest things I tell every single client, every single learner that I'm working with, any questions, nothing's off limits. There's no such thing as dumb questions.
That is so true. And I keep hearing power is knowledge. Mm-hmm. What knowledge have you gained that has given you power?
The soft skills, the critical thinking skills, the communication skills. Those are the ones that give me power. Sure, like it's nice to know how to do my taxes, and that's great and it's necessary, but it's the connecting that really builds me up, that really gives me the power. And again, because community is so, so important, that's where I find my power is in my community members and those connections, and learning how to utilize their skills as well to better everything around us.
Yes, community. I public speak about community. I love community. Where do you find that you found your community? How long have you lived in Omaha?
I've been in Omaha for well over a decade now, almost 15 years.
And where did you like go out? What did you like? A lot of times you have to venture out to saying yes to opportunities. Where did you say yes to find this community? Because you have one. Mm-hmm. What did you do? Like people out there that are lonely. Like what did you do?
Well, I joined some local nonprofits and just started to show up to community things. I did a fellowship with New Leaders Council. I worked with a Hanscom neighborhood association when I lived there. And I work within that community as well, working at a plant shop for my friend that she owns and things like that. I like to stay, while I have my day job that pays the bills, I also work at a plant shop. That's within my community.
And that's your passion,
and
right?
That's my passion. Yes, I get to play in dirt and do that stuff while also interacting with the community and providing that safe space for things. I'm also active in my church and a few other local community organizations. I'm big on social justice, and I like to stay active with organizations that have that at its heart. So.
I love that you have community, because what I feel too as an entrepreneur, you have to find those communities, and you found them. Have you ever thought about building a community within your community?
I have, but I feel like so many people, amazing people in Omaha, are doing that exact thing right now, especially in the past 5-6 years. There's been communities that have been popping up that are very, very specific to niches. And I see that popping up, and man, I'm going to be on top of it once I see that niche that needs it. I love to create that space for people to come and learn.
Because what I found with Women with Voices, right? I saw a need for women to share their story. It was out of the pandemic, right? And they were lonely. And you're right. Once you find that something that needs to be filled, you're going to fill it. All right, let's talk about our small towns. I grew up in O'Neill. You grew up in Albion, Nebraska.
Yes.
Do you feel that you found the niche for community? Because growing in a small town, growing up, right, that community is so important that you bring that small town community to your values of who you are. What's your values for Jaimie?
Well, my values that came from the small community are definitely my hardworking nature. It's an agriculture community, and you can vouch anywhere that there's farmers. It's just constantly work, because it doesn't shut. It's never off.
Yes.
And so I also have to play with that a little bit with our society right now and giving myself that rest. And that's also very, very important to me. And I think that having rest and restoration and things in your values, your set of values, is important as well. And since growing up on a farm, and my dad is an engineer, and so he was always tinkering on everything, my curiosity has gotten me farther, not as far as my connection with people, but very, 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 very far, because I just have a lot of questions. I want to know how things work. I want to know why people think the way that they do. I want to know why people do X, Y, Z, and just constantly asking questions. Curiosity is one of my main values, and I've had that since I can remember, constantly being curious and asking questions. It annoyed my parents, I'm sure it did, but I know that I'm very, very thankful for them answering my questions.
Is there one memory you can share with the audience about growing up on the farm?
Oh my
Just
goodness.
toss this out there, but I just think, like, I remember going to my cousin's farm in Butte, Nebraska, and all those memories, right? I was kind of the city girl in O'Neill, but going to my cousin's farm in Butte, Nebraska, and just those memories.
Yep.
Do you have one that stands out?
Yes, actually, one that just popped into my head right away. I was late to my senior prom because I was watching a calf be born.
That's pretty cool.
My dad was out there and he was helping pull it and everything, and that was very normal growing up on the farm.
Isn't that fun?
Yep. And I'm so thankful for having that and having all those memories, because I'm city through and through now.
Yeah.
But I know a lot about agriculture.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, I'm a big app person, right? And I think entrepreneurs, we have so many apps we can't live without. What's one app or tool or something out there that you cannot, like, don't ever take that away from me?
My notes app. My notes
okay.
app. I put everything in my notes. If I'm sitting there and I have a little thought about maybe a podcast in 3 years would be a good idea, I put it in my notes app. And all of my big projects, I put everything in my notes app.
That is so true. I
Yep.
use mine all the time.
Yep.
You can copy and paste from your laptop to your phone. I love that. That is so true. Apps. What? How many years ago have we had apps? Like 20? Like they just
Oh, yes.
busted.
Oh, yes.
I'm like an app junkie. I like, oh, I want that app. I want that app. But they all do something great.
Yes, there's some really good productivity ones.
Yes. All right. If there was a movie, I like a fun question, right? If there was a movie or a song or anything that made you be your theme song, what would it be?
I would probably say Roar by Katy Perry.
Okay.
Just because when I do get excited about things, I get louder and my excitement can just sort of be seen. And especially with the stigmatized conditions and things like that, I like to make sure that I'm outspoken.
That's beautiful. So let's get you on a keynote speech because I think you have one. And that can be your theme song when you go roaring into the theater, into your take the stage. And
I can
and
do that. I can do that.
I love that song. All right. Well, thank you so much, Jaimie, for being here. It's been wonderful. And I love your creativity and I love your honesty and your vulnerability. So thank you.
Thank you, Sandy.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's okay to have vulnerability. It's okay to not know everything. It's okay that some days you can't work. There's some days you don't feel up to it. You don't always have to be on. So take that break. Give yourself a break and just remember that tomorrow's a new day, that people care for you because you are who you are and you're authentically you. And go get knowledge because knowledge is power right here. All right. Thank you and have a great evening.